to a Marketing Minute, and we are talking about how do you measure the effect of generosity on your business. What is it really doing? Are you getting a benefit? Is it bringing you additional revenue? Is it a profitable strategy? Well, sometimes it's a little tricky to get the measurement, and we're going to continue on with our last 5 ideas of what you could do to measure. Just keep in mind, I'm sharing with you 15 different ideas that you can use for measurement. That doesn't mean you do them all. That might mean you do one. That might mean you start with one, or you decide which is resonating most, which do you think is going to be most meaningful, and even you might be saying which is the most reasonable that we can actually do, because some of this, if you're engaging and hiring professionals to do your research, for example, that can add up to some significant money, and it all depends on the size of every organization and how we manage our resources. Let's get into the last 5 that I've got for you. Public relations metrics. Here you want to measure the media coverage and sentiment surrounding your generosity initiative. So you kind of got to be a little subjective on this. Analyze your press mentions, analyze the tone, and take a look at the reach of your stories related to your company's generosity. You know, are things in a local publication? Are they in a trade publication? If they're local, do they get picked up by a syndication or something like that? So check and see what's going on in the public relations world. And of course, you're going to do your own press releases and so on. Well, and you could even be measuring how many different media pick up your story. Another point, second one here that we have today, is cost-benefit analysis. And this, of course, is going to be a fun one. Perform a cost-benefit analysis of your generosity initiatives. Compare the costs associated with your generosity efforts and compare that to the benefits that you bring. And what might some of those benefits be that you want to measure? Well, increased customer retention or improved employee morale, because we've talked about both of those. So decide what you want to measure here and see what you can come up with. A third point today is surveys and focus groups. And again, this is probably a really good place to get some professional help. Conduct surveys and focus groups with various stakeholders. And depending on what you're doing, you can have a number of stakeholders. It could be your customers, it could be employees, could be community members, whatever. You will know based on the generosity engagement that you have. And then you want to gather qualitative data, which is the more broad discussion type versus statistical. So you want to gather that qualitative data on the perceived impact of your generosity efforts. You could frankly do a little come over for pizza kind of event and invite some people, or sub sandwiches or something like that. And you just invite a group of good numbers, 6 to 8, depending on how long you're going to chit chat. That's usually kind of my rule of thumb. And another idea here, number 4 for us today, is market research. Again, generally, this is going to be something where you want to hire a professional. So commission your market research to assess how your generosity initiatives compare to the competition in terms of the customer perception and market positioning. We could talk about that at length. Anyway, what you're doing here is measuring how your customers perceive your activities of generosity compared to the other people. So there's an app to doing that. I encourage you to take a look at doing that and getting some professional help on that one, because that's a little bit nuanced and a little tricky. Our last idea here for tracking and putting some metrics together is the long-term impact analysis. Here you want to consider tracking the long-term impact of your generosity efforts. And to do this, you would track success and sustainability of projects supported by your company in the community. I don't know what that might be. Maybe your company has made a commitment to work with Habitat for Humanity for 10 years or something, and you then can go and track what has the success been or the impact on your business, frankly, for that. We had 5 ideas today for you to use to track and see what kind of metrics you can come up with for the success in your generosity program. Those, once again, were public relations metrics. The second idea was a cost-benefit analysis. The third idea was survey and focus groups. The fourth idea was market research. And again, that one was primarily comparing the activity done by your company versus competition, and then the market perception of that. And the last one was the long-term impact analysis, where you really look at a longer-term horizon to look at what impact your generosity efforts are having. Thanks for tuning in. Let me know if you've got any questions, and I hope you can see how generosity is having a positive impact in your organization. And there are now 15 ways you can go back and take a look at the videos and see what kind of technique you want to use and what kind of measurement you want to do. Thanks for tuning in.